Good afternoon over there, Doc. How you doing?
Good afternoon. What's going on?
Hey, I got a two-part question for you. Now that you've been on the court, you guys actually played a game. What are some of the adjustments you're looking to make either on the sideline or on the court? And then my second question would be, Doc, with all the social injustice conversation going on, I'd like to know for balance, what would be your remedy for improving inner city crimes that plague this country via mentorships, exposure, opportunities? Those are some of my suggestions. What would be yours?
Well, I'll start with that. I think there's a lot of things. Number one, jobs would help, but mentorship, you're right. Community relationships with the police officers would help as well. So, you're just not policing the neighborhood. You actually are in the neighborhood. My father was a cop, but my father was also the Little League coach, the football coach, the basketball coach, and everyone knew his name. I think that would help as well. And then the community involvement. But we got to empower the communities so they feel safe enough that they can get involved. As far as the games, we're just building. So there's not a lot of changes, nothing from the sideline. I think our guys have to get used to the seating. I think eventually the seating probably will go away a little bit where guys can just move around. But other than that, just improving as a team, getting all our guys here would help.
Charlie, you're next.
Hey, Doc, on that point about getting your guys here, in the meantime, with some vacancies, what does it allow you to do as a coaching staff in terms of testing different things out, and what opportunities does it open for other guys?
Well, I don't know if it even allows me, Charlie. I think it forces me to just play different lineups and be more creative. Obviously some of the things we do, you probably wouldn't do like in practice. We basically loaded one team and we had all the other guys just play against them. Unfortunately for them, they were playing defense the entire practice because we were working on some offensive things. But that's stuff that you would do, obviously, if it was a playoff practice. And that's what we're considering all our practices right now that we're preparing for the playoffs.
Thanks, Charlie. Farbad, you're up.
Hey, Doc, we've been hearing about how players have to make their own energy on the bench now because there's no fans. Do you think that's going to be some kind of evolution of playing in the bubble where the teams with the most enthusiastic benches are the ones with home court, really?
Yeah, I honestly think teams and players have always been enthusiastic. Every year that I've coached, I get a letter from the league telling us to tell our guys to sit down because they're cheering. I think the difference is now you can hear them. Before the players were cheering, but so were the fans. And so no one ever picked up how much they were actually involved in the game. Most good teams have active benches. It's that thing that Harvard studied years ago. Teams that touch each other win more. Teams that stay away from each other don't. I don't think that's changed. And I think teams that are involved with each other doing the game probably win more as well.
Next up is Miriam. Go ahead, Miriam.
There we go. Sorry about that. Hi, Doc. Hey, so I wondered, there was the G League posted on Twitter that Jonathan Motley was headed your way. Wondered if we might actually see him. And then also just wanted to see your thoughts on Marcus in his first game back, considering he just kind of came around.
Yeah, the Motley thing, we just stay away from guys who aren't here. But Marcus was phenomenal. I didn't expect it. We originally, before the game, we had him at like a 10-minute mark where we're going to play him, and he was as fresh as anybody. So, he looks great. He's in great condition. We had a treadmill in his room when he was quarantining, so he was running every day. He's done a lot of good stuff. Very proud of Marcus.
Thanks, Miriam. Next up is Shane Young. Go ahead, Shane.
Hey, Doc. Good morning, or afternoon, I guess. But I was just wondering, every year it seems like Paul George's passing out of the pick and roll seems to improve, including this year quite a bit. Yeah. Do you think that's something undervalued about him, and or why do you think he doesn't get the recognition in that sense?
Because he's a great shooter, and I think a lot of times, we had Ray Allen when I was in Boston. And when we would put Ray Allen in pick and rolls, he was pretty effective, you know. And I think because those guys are great shooters, people look at them as just shooters. But Paul George does a lot. Great post game. With Paul's size, we just put him in a lot more pick and rolls than he's probably ever been in his career. But with his size, it's so effective that we're doing it more. We work on it every day, and he's gotten better and better at it.
Thanks, Shane. Next question, Doc. We have two more. Next one is Andrew.
Hey, Doc, I feel like usually as the playoffs approach, you would be and your coaches would be thinking about narrowing your rotation to, I don't know, your 8 or 9 guys. What's it like being forced to kind of widen it a little bit because of absences right now as you're, only a couple weeks away really from the playoffs starting?
Yeah, it's different. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think it hurts our team. I do think it always hurts your team when you don't have all your guys. Today we have a practice and a lot of our guys aren't here. So that's never healthy for your team, especially a team that really hasn't been together. I mean, we're a new team. We had Kawhi and PG missed training camp. PG missed the first, 16 games. Then Kawhi missed games and Lou. This year so far, we really have not caught in a great break as far as being able to work together. But I got to say, this team so far, they keep impressing me as well with their ability to figure out a way of playing together, even though we don't have a lot of minutes on the floor playing together.
Doc, last question, I believe is coming from Tanya right there with you.
I'm just wondering, having seen how this is going, having had players had to leave, some coming late, how difficult do you think it's going to be for the league as a whole to get through the next 2-3 months?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know the answer. I think we all knew that we could start the league. The key is, can we finish it? And I think that'll be the big thing. And I think what the league has learned that teams have already known, that it's more than basketball that comes up. Guys have life going on. And, whether it be a family problem, a kid problem, a wife problem, or anything, there's issues that come in these guys' life. And, we give guys days off all the time because of it, but no one really notices it. But now when you're in the bubble and you leave, it really targets it. So I think in the good way in this, that the public actually sees that the NBA players actually are human and they do have regular life issues going on. The problem is usually with the life issues, you can come back to the team and play the next day. Now with the life issue, you have to quarantine for 48 or 4 days, and so that's very tough. But we have to do that to make sure everybody stays healthy. So, it's a tough one. It's a tough blow for teams now when a family issue does happen, because you don't just get them back. You lose them for about a week, and that's different. But we're all under the same thing.